Hey there, ladies. How is everyone doing? I wanted to continue my discussion that I talk about frequently, and that is women and fasting. And so in this Facebook Live today, I want to go over 3 myths that women have around fasting and being a woman, maybe fasting and menopause. And there are a lot of beliefs that we kind of need to undo to maybe help us understand the benefits of fasting a little more. So that's what we're going to talk about in this Facebook Live today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kelly, and I am a nurse, but I'm also a weight loss coach for women who struggle with really stubborn weight loss resistance. And that reason for weight loss resistance could be due to metabolism that's damaged. It could be due to hormones that are out of whack, decades of emotional eating or binge eating, overeating. I really like to work with the stubborn cases where women have tried everything and they can't lose the weight, and the frustration of not being able to lose the weight is really rippling out into other areas of their lives, and it's keeping them from their happiness. It's keeping them from living the life that they want. And so I really am really good at breaking those, kind of break through that plateau of maybe why you aren't losing weight. So I love to use the science behind women and hormones, and I also like to use the mindset stuff as well. So, hey everyone who's watching. Hey Charmaine. So, we can go ahead and the first thing I wanted to mention though really quick about fasting is I'm not a fasting coach. I don't necessarily think that every single woman that I work with needs to fast. So I want to make that clear. However, I really think it's a powerful tool. I really do, for more than one reason. I think that it is great for balancing hormones. So I don't know what my hair is doing today, but I think that if you have any sort of hormonal balance, fasting really can help with that. I also think that fasting is a great tool if you struggle with emotional eating, overeating, binge eating, because it really forces you to take a good look at those issues. And so if you go a period of time without eating, those emotions and those urges to overeat and emotional eat are really going to surface. And that's wonderful because it forces you to address that. So there are multiple reasons why I think fasting is a great tool. But first and foremost, I'm a weight loss coach and I'm a nurse. And if it's not required to fast, but like I said, I talk about it a lot because I think it's a wonderful tool. So the first myth, we'll get started right away. The first myth is that women can't fast every day. And there are lots of reasons why women think this. And usually it has to do with some sort of information they've read, or maybe a friend told them, or somebody has told them that women can't fast every day because of their hormones, because of their menstrual cycle, whatever. And that really that's false. And actually, the opposite is true. Fasting every day is great for hormones and can be great for regulating your menstrual cycle if you have some dysregularities there. So I think that possibly the reason that people hear this is because they think that it's because they have this mindset that fasting is to kind of starve yourself and to restrict calories. And that is not at all what fasting is about. The purpose of fasting is to regulate hormones. So typically the first step with that is to lower your glucose and insulin levels. And that is what fasting does. And once you can lower your glucose and insulin levels, then your sex hormones or your thyroid hormones or whatever hormone dysregulation you have can really start to regulate itself. So, hi everyone who's watching. Hey everybody. I forgot to mention this too. If you have any questions about women and fasting, or maybe some myths you've heard about women and fasting, please ask them now. This is the time to ask, because I want to answer any questions that you might have. So, like I said, the first myth is that women can't fast every day. That is absolutely false. Women can fast every single day. Now, the timing, the hours you go with fasting, that can vary from vary from woman to woman, and I can definitely help you find how many hours is best for you. Some people do great and have great results with fasting 14 to 16 hours a day, and it solves their issues and they lose the weight and their hormones get balanced. Other women have to go 20 hours a day every single day in order to see those same results. Some women, depending on how bad your metabolic damage is, you may have to do some 48-hour fasts here and there. Some women do 24-hour fasts. You just have to find what works for you. And this has nothing to do with trying to starve yourself, trying to restrict calories. That is an old way of thinking that is not true. It's kind of like a 1990s way of thinking where we need to cut calories in order to lose weight. That is wrong. That will mess up your hormones. But when we fast, we actually don't do any restriction of calories for that purpose. When you do have your feasting window, you feast on nutrient-dense foods, and it can be as many calories as you need in order to be full and satiated. So if any of you have any questions, like I said, please let me know. We're talking about myths and women and fasting. So if you have any questions, or if you've heard anything about how women can't fast, or if it's bad for women, please ask those questions now, and I will help try to sort some of those myths out. The other myth that women a lot of times hear is that they can't fast because you're going to lose muscle, you're going to go into starvation mode, kind of like I talked about the first one. That is absolutely false. What actually the best way to lose muscle and the best way to put yourself in starvation mode, whatever that means, is by eating every few hours, especially if you're eating carbs. Because when you are eating every few hours, especially if those every few hours of eating is with carbs, you are teaching your body how to only run off of glucose or sugar or the food that you're eating right now. And that is the quickest way to get your hormones out of balance. So what you want to do is you want to teach your body how to utilize its own fat stores. And so the only way to do that is to do some sort of fasting and to get your body into more of a fat burning mode instead of always relying on sugar. So that is, and then the other thing too is that you do not actually, when it comes to women and muscle, fasting actually is a great muscle builder because, and I won't get too geeky and go into the science of it, but you can actually raise your human growth hormone by fasting. So I think it's like 200% maybe you raise your human growth hormone by fasting. And once you can get that human growth hormone elevated, you can build muscle so much easier. So typically if you do maybe a overnight fast of about 14 hours or so, and you wake up in the morning in a fasted state and you lose weight, and you lift weights, you will have that elevated human growth hormone, which is optimal for building muscle. So lifting weights in a fasted state, you will build muscle. So anybody who tells you that you're going to lose muscle by fasting it's absolutely wrong. There is no studies that show that. So that is definitely a myth. The third myth that women tell me, this is probably the most common out of all of them that I hear, is that I tried fasting and I felt horrible, so therefore I can't fast. My body just doesn't like fasting. It doesn't work for me. And so I'm just going to give up and not do fasting anymore because I had a horrible experience. So there are so many reasons why you fast, and maybe you don't feel very good the first couple of days. And that is something that I can help you with, definitely, because there's a lot of different reasons why women don't feel real great fasting. It could be anything from maybe you started fasting too quickly and maybe you were not in a fat adapted state yet, or maybe you hadn't gone low carb long enough to where your body was kind of used to burning fat, and you just went straight from eating a standard, American diet, and you went straight into fasting. Yeah, you probably aren't going to feel real great. Some people don't have enough electrolytes, and that's why they feel bad when they fast. Some people don't like the way they feel when they can't eat because it brings up all of their emotional eating or binge eating issues. And that's really uncomfortable. And so maybe that's why you quit fasting. But fasting it really works for everybody if you do it correctly for you, and that means something different for everybody. So I really encourage you, if you have weight to lose, or if you want to balance your hormones, if you want to work on your emotional eating issues, I really encourage you to stick with fasting. Try it again. And work with somebody who can help you find the right fasting for you based off of your goals, based off of what your hormones are doing, based off of your metabolic health. If you have 100 pounds to lose, that fasting is going to look different than if you have 5 pounds to lose. So it's really important to really educate yourself on your hormones, the reason you're fasting, and really have somebody who can help you kind of troubleshoot some of those areas, which I do. So the other thing that kind of gets us in trouble with our fasting is that we only look towards outside sources or information to do all of our fasting the way we set it up. And I really like to, oh, hey, Callie. Great question. Is there a caution for those who have liver or kidney challenges? Fasting, I don't know if you're talking about fasting or going keto, you might be talking about both. There really is no caution to fasting, even if you have liver or kidney challenges. It depends what it is. So I would maybe need to know a little bit more information. But what I'll say about that is, if you've heard anything about fasting being bad for your liver or your kidneys, most of what you hear is false. Now, there may be some extreme cases where you are maybe in some sort of kidney failure or liver failure, and that's obviously something that you would want to talk to your doctor about. But for most people, most women who are going through hormonal changes, who have weight to lose, who want to work on their eating issues, it's going to be just fine. So like I said, if you do have some extreme kidney or liver issues, and I mean extreme, then obviously you'd want to talk to your doctor. But for most people, it's totally fine. So really good question. There is a ton out there, a lot of false information out there about how it's going either keto or fasting is hard on the liver or kidneys. That really is not true. So very good question though. Charmaine, I tried to do OMAD, but I found that I wasn't feeling that great after a couple of days. So it's kind of cutting out here. I can't read the rest of it. Sorry. So OMAD, for those of you who don't know what OMAD is, OMAD stands for 1 meal a day, and it's become quite popular. And it's a really great tool because you're only eating in, a 1 or 2 hour period. And so it's great for weight loss. It's great for balancing hormones. If you were not feeling great on OMAD, I would say a couple things there. First of all, you may have gone into it too quickly for you and your body. So maybe start with like 16 to 18 hours, really get your body used to doing 16 to 18 hours, then bump up to 20, do that for a while, really get your body used to that, and then you could do the OMAD. The other thing is it could be possible that you weren't eating either, number one, enough food in that eating window, or number two, you weren't eating the right macros in that eating window. So some people need to adjust their fat. Maybe they're eating too much or too little fat. Maybe they're eating too much or too little protein. Maybe they are not in a fat adapted state, and so they aren't feeling well in that fasting window. There's a lot of different things. I don't know why, Charmaine, I can't see the rest of your question. I don't know why it kind of stuck here, so I can't. Okay, here we go. I think my body wasn't feeling safe because I wasn't eating enough. Yeah, okay, that's what I was just gonna say. Yeah, there's a good chance you weren't eating enough. And so for a lot of people, I've heard this a few times, is you may want to do, instead of like a 1 or 2 hour window, you may want to do a 4 hour window and do, instead of one big meal, maybe do 2 smaller meals, because sometimes your stomach gets too full and you haven't had enough calories. So pay attention to that. The other thing, Charmaine, the other thing to look at is you would want to know what your glucose and your ketones are doing. So you can buy, I'm sure you've heard of the Keto Mojo, and you can test both your glucose and your ketones in 1 meter and start doing that, because if you are not in ketosis, if your glucose level is high, and this is a fasting glucose and ketone level, maybe when you wake up in the morning, there's a chance that you aren't fat adapted yet, especially if you're trying to heal your adrenals. There's a chance if your cortisol is high, I'm kind of geeking out here a little bit, but if your cortisol is high, there's a chance that your morning glucose might be high. Your ketones were super high. Did you test your glucose? That's the other thing. Some people are finding that their ketones are high and so is their glucose, and that can make you feel kind of yucky. So what I would do is a couple things. Number one, test your glucose. I would say, you want it to be ideally probably in the 70s. 80s are probably okay too, but not much higher than that. Second thing is you may want to play around with your macros. So are you eating too much or not enough protein? Are you eating too much or not enough time? But now it's been higher in the morning. Yeah, so that might be one issue. And then, like I said, play around with your macros a little bit. And also, how has your stress been? If you're really stressed throughout the day, there's a chance that your glucose is running high during the day from a stress response. And so that might be making you feel yucky. So you could back down to maybe like a 20-hour fast and have 2 smaller meals during the day. That could be something you could do. So really good question though. Yeah, OMAD is huge, and if it works for you, it can do wonders. So anybody else out there who has tried OMAD, I want to hear how that worked for you. So let's see, I can't remember where I was at now. I think I was talking about how we really need to just pay attention to how our own bodies are doing and adjust accordingly, instead of always looking just towards outside information. Awesome. Yes, try that and let me know how you feel. And if you need help with adjusting your macros, I can definitely help you with that too. So there's a lot of different troubleshooting things we could do with that, Charmaine. So thank you for those questions. So one thing that I really can help you do is help you listen to the signs and signals that your body is giving you when it comes to fasting. And sometimes we really lose touch with how our bodies are feeling, and we only pay attention to the outside information that we're getting about fasting. We're only fasting the way our neighbor did it because it worked for our neighbor. We're only fasting because of the way we heard it on a blog or a health person that we follow, and we forget to pay attention to our bodies. So that is one thing I help kind of retrain you on how to listen to your own body. And I will give you an example of, in my own life, how that really helped me. As I've shared before in some videos prior to this, I really struggled with a bunch of digestive issues for years. And every single time I ate vegetables, I would feel sick. Depending on the vegetable, sometimes it was really bad. I would get really, really bloated. My abdomen would get distended. I would have stomach aches. I would have nausea. I would have gastric reflux, GERD. And I just kept eating the vegetables because that's what everybody told me to do. You have to eat vegetables every day. You have to have, 10 servings of vegetables every day. That's what you have to do in order to be healthy. And so I just kept ignoring my body and signals, and I kept just listening to what everybody else said, which is you have to eat vegetables, until I decided to listen to my own body, and I cut out vegetables, and it changed my life. So I think I shared in the last video that I made that I actually have not eaten vegetables now for about 9 months, outside of, just a handful of times. I've had, a salad here and there, and I think I've had maybe 1 avocado in that 9-month period, and it's changed my life. I lost so much inflammation weight. I sleep better. I feel better. My mental clarity is awesome. And I have 0 digestive issues now. So that is just one example of sometimes you just kind of have to start thinking for yourself and have to retrain your brain on some of those beliefs that are just really stuck in there really deep. So that's just one example of how listening to your body can help. So any other questions about women and fasting? This is a huge topic. Every single time I put anything about fasting up on Facebook, it usually gets a lot of attention. A lot of people ask questions and have a lot of concerns about it. And so I want to go ahead and clear all of that up now. So just in case you are just coming onto my video, my name is Kelly, by the way, and I help women who struggle with weight loss resistance. And I am a weight loss coach. I'm also a nurse, so I understand all of the hormones when it comes to women's metabolism and hormones in menopause, and maybe you've had, overeating issues in the past. And so I'm trying to share this live onto multiple pages. So that's what I'm doing now. It's not working. So I apologize for the little pause here, but I just wanted to share this video. So, and I also have a lot of great mindset tools too. So maybe fasting didn't work for you because you couldn't overcome your urges to overeat, binge eat, emotional eat. And so maybe that is what is keeping you stuck with your weight loss. I can help you with all of that. Maybe you have a sugar addiction. Maybe you've tried to cut out sugar and you felt awful. I can help you with that. These are all common reasons why women give up on themselves when it comes to weight loss. And so that is what I specialize in. So especially if you feel like you are not loving how your body is aging, you are not loving how menopause feels, you are hiding behind your baggy clothes and you're sick and tired of it, you're sick and tired of not living the life you want because you don't like your body, you feel guilty because you don't like your body, because society tells you that you should just be happy with, you should just settle for however you look, and that is all false. You can have the body you want, you can lose the weight. A lot of women feel like they can't because of genetics, and this is a big one. I should probably make a separate Facebook Live on this. If you feel like you are a lost cause, if you feel like you cannot lose weight and you are going to be stuck at this weight for the rest of your life because of genetics, that is false. Just because every other woman in your family maybe looked a certain way does not mean you do. That is completely false. So the genetics are a big one that we can talk about too. You may have to adjust your diet based off of your genetics. For example, a lot of women carry their extra weight in their bottom half of their body. That can be genetic. Yes, absolutely, that can be genetic. But there are things that you can do to kind of mask those genes so that it doesn't show up in such a way. So that's something else I can help you with too, because I'm kind of a science nerd and I love the science of women's hormones and I understand them and I've studied them. So that's another way I can help you. So, so those are I'm going to real briefly go over those 3 fasting myths. Number 1, the women can't fast every day. That is such a myth. Number 2, fasting puts women into a starvation mode, or maybe a mode where they will lose muscle. The opposite is actually true. And then the 3rd myth is that you can't fast because you didn't feel good or had a bad experience when you tried it the first time. That is false. The reason you felt yucky when you tried fasting the first time is because you were doing something wrong for you and your body, and you were probably listening to information from a false source for your body. So those are the 3 myths when it comes to women and fasting. And so if there's any other questions, go ahead and ask them now. Otherwise, I will wrap up this video. If you want to get a hold of me and see if working together would be a good fit for you, please I will put a link under this video of my calendar. You can just sign up a time to chat with me. You can go to my website and do that. I'll put the link in there. You can just comment under this video if you are interested in chatting with me, and then I can direct message you. There's lots of different ways to get a hold of me. And so with the calls, it is not a sales call. It is not a sales call at all. All it is you are going to tell me what's going on with you. And then we will chat a bit and then we'll chat a bit about your issue. And then you can decide if working with me is a good fit for you or not. That's all it is. Super simple call. It's not a sales call. I'm not going to give you some sales pitch. It's just a call to see if we would be a good fit to work together. So please, if that's something that interests you, please sign up and we'll have a little chat. Okay, so I will go ahead and wrap things up. Hope you all have a great Friday. And all right, we will talk to you all soon.